Hello everyone, my name is Vladimir and welcome back to the video version of Architecture Weekly newsletter, this time number 39. So in this issue we're talking about distributed systems verification, state of the AWS Security report, new release of the PostgreSQL database and several other articles. Let's go. So this issue I'm starting with an article by Martin Klefman, the author of Designing Data-Intensive Application book. And this time he wrote an article about verifying distributed systems with Isabel. So it is all about the distributed systems and the way how we can guarantee that the system works as we expect it to behave. Testing the distributed systems due to its nature is very hard because the amount of events and edge cases and conditions is very high. So the article provides a tool to kind of model this system and try to verify formally that it really provides the guarantees it claims to provide. Please follow the article for more details. Next one is a shift-left approach for API standardization, and a lot of our systems combines of services that provide some kind of APIs, like billing APIs or payments APIs or users APIs or whatever. But in a large organization, it's very hard to do the things in a similar way, so that we remove the burden of different styles of naming things or assuming different things and so on. So if you work in such kind of a organization, it is very useful to standardize somehow the APIs or API approaches that you use there, so that you don't spend additional time on understanding the new APIs made by a new team. So in order to come up with such a kind of a standardization, you can use many different tools that are described in this article, including Gradle plugins or some command line tools that will verify the API for you or even suggest some common namings. So please follow the article. Next one is an article in the Martin Fowler's blog written by Rick Geek. And this is the third issue of the series about bottlenecks of scale-ups. So basically what happens when your organization grows. And this time it is about the collaboration between product managers or like business people and technical people like engineers. And the article is about how you need to resolve the intrinsic conflict between those. So remove this kind of a notion of like business thinking like they're really doing business and IT just servicing them, but rather moving them to more DevOps approach, right? When when you work together, so that you have really good collaboration, really good communication, and so on and so on. And if you're an architect, you need to work on this kind of problems, and they can be real hiccups for your growth. So follow the article. Okay, the next one is the state of AWS security by Datadog. The company has a lot of clients that are using AWS, and with this data, the company was able to figure out some insights regarding the security on how companies actually uses the AWS resources and what mistakes security-wise they make. For example, if you're using the old version of instance metadata service for your EC2 instances, you're vulnerable to a very nasty kind of attack that was used to hack the Capital One company. So, and for example, another example was if you're using the root account to do some work across your account, then there's additional set of threats that you're eligible to. So please follow the article to figure out what to do about them and what are other common vulnerabilities that you want to avoid. Speaking about the security, DevOps conference of 2022 just published their talks on YouTube, and I want to share an article by Patricia Vegrzinovic, where she talks about the security of Kubernetes. So she covers the the top 10 Kubernetes vulnerabilities, and she provides several demos on how those vulnerabilities can lead to actual hacks of your Kubernetes cluster. Very interesting talk. Please watch it, especially if you work close to Kubernetes and interested in the security aspects. But you can use the 1.5 speed to go through, because she speaks rather slowly in order for you to understand very well each detail of this topic in particular. Okay, let's go to the next one. And I want to talk about the Kotlin Multiplatform article and the architecture of building mobile applications using declarative UIs and reusing the parts of business logic across multiple applications, like for Android, iOS, web, and maybe for the desktop. As this week was really rich with the events about the Kotlin, like switching to Kotlin for a main server-side language from Java by Google. This is a very good thing. Then Kotlin Multiplatform going officially better, and so on. So please follow the article about how it can be used for doing mobile application and reusing a lot of parts like that you would naturally write several times in different languages and technologies. So, okay, next one is mastering the next level of architecture design by Udo Fredriksson. And this time he shared the article about the evolution of architectural approaches. So he covers the history of what we were thinking about the architecture job back 20 years ago, then how we stopped thinking about that because we decided that we're doing DevOps and we don't need architects again, and the architect is the team, and so on. And then after the cloud revolution happened, mobile and IoT came to the landscape, the digital transformations started to happening all across the enterprises across the world. Then the architecture work became very important again, but there are several hiccups that prevents to do that work very well. And Uwe covers what aspects you should be worried about, like simplicity of the system, like proper separation of concerns, thinking frugal, and so on. So please follow the deck. It explains very well what you need to think about if you're an architect in an IT company. Okay, speaking about the separation of concerns and good language and functional modeling and so on, I want to share another article about from Gregor Hochpe, who is doing the Architect Elevator blog, basically. And this time he speaks about the abstractions and how naming good abstractions is really difficult. And the basic idea is that when you're building some product, you don't want to name this product by its parts. For example, if you're building a car, you don't want to name it like wheels, engine, glasses, and so on. You want to name it a car. So basically coming up with a better abstraction. And this applies to the things that we work on in our lives and in the systems that we design. Follow the article. Okay, next one will be the news about the new release of PostgreSQL 15. So they improved some performance things, developer experience, replication control, and so on. But I'll let you just read the release notes. Okay. And the last one for the day is the resiliency in distributed systems. Remember this the Pragmatic Engineer newsletter that I shared several times already on my one. So there's a new issue there with a couple of chapters from Understanding Distributed Systems book written by Roberta Vitillo. So in these chapters, Roberto covers the design patterns for upstreaming and downstream resilience in software systems. And basically, the chapters contain the description of load shading, rate limiter, and other patterns. So please follow the article for the detailed description. And that's it for today. If you really liked the newsletter and this video in particular, please don't forget to like it, to subscribe it, and subscribe on the blog as well. And if you really like the newsletter and want to support it, there are links to Patreon and Boosty where you can do that with a little bit of your money. Thank you very much and see you in a week.